In case you missed it, a few days ago, one of the biggest content creators to ever come out of WoW, Asmongold, made a take on retail. Now, a ton of people have been commenting on it, reacting to it, giving their takes. And as a WoW content creator myself, now I think I can call myself that. We're almost at 10,000. I thought I'd go over and just give my take on it. Now, for those of you who don't know, Asmongold is the biggest creator to come out of WoW. He doesn't really play WoW too much anymore. He still plays some classic SOD, I think, and he still plays classic. I think he was big on Wrath. Plays a lot of other stuff. Big React streamer, probably the most famous person in the game. But again, hasn't really touched retail in a while. So he has this take about how to make retail better. And personally, obviously retail isn't doing the best at the moment, but that's more because of how seasonal WoW has become. I don't think it's that bad, but there are things to improve, and I will give my take on it. So we drop over here and put my earbud in here, and we'll listen to his take first off. So there's about 3 points he makes.
As I said.
So where this happened is just from seeing Plunderstorm and how easy it is. Sorry, I'll replay. I was talking over it. But here's the 3 things. So first is this.
Reset everybody's spells and then remake every class with like 10 spells or less.
So the first thing is 10 spells or less and remaking every class. Now this one I think is a bit weird, but it comes from a place of truth. Now, before I react to all these things, a few things. One, Asmongold, while he hasn't been playing retail and doesn't really speak to retail players anymore, he did quit. And it is important to listen to his feedback and kind of take it, right? Obviously you can say, oh, you don't even play anymore, you don't listen to him. It's still important to listen to people who have played the game and quit for whatever reason, so that Blizzard can maybe try to improve the reasons why they quit, work them back, and try and get some back to that old player base. Obviously, you know, WoW as a game doesn't really attract new audiences, which I think is a big problem with its like monetary decisions, like monthly sub and $60 box fee plus expansion fees is not great for, you know, like the younger generation, my generation. I'm a Zoomer. When they have Fortnite, League of Legends, a bunch of free games and go play, right? Or even like, I don't know, like Call of Duty or something like that, right? So I think that's an issue. But he still did leave. And it's important to listen to why people left to work on that. So that's a thing. Second, I do think a lot of these are blown in proportion a bit. I think he is doing this a bit to react bait, which, hey, you know, it worked on me, but everyone's doing it, so we get on the trends. But his first point is to remake all the classes, reset their spells, and go down to 10 spells each. Now, I was sitting here thinking, and I was thinking about 10 spells for a class, and I was thinking rotational spells. And I'm like, okay, that's not that bad. That's like what we have. But I think what he was referring to is 10 spells total. And the issue with that is that's just not really WoW anymore. You know what I mean? I do think he's right in that a lot of classes are very complex right now, and I'm not sure that's fully a bad thing. I do think it could be walked back a little bit. If you're the channel who watched my Eldrazi Reaver tree review for Havoc, I mentioned how the complexity that we're adding if we add Reaver's Mark, which is another buff to Havoc, is going to be too much. You know, you don't want to play a spreadsheet, you want to play the game. And I think that there is a certain point where complexity is too much, but I don't think a straight reset to 0 and, well, 10, I guess, is the way to go. 10 spells is not a lot, right? Now, you look at Havoc, right? What are the rotational buttons we use? Fellblade, Immolation, Aura, Sigil of Flame, Vengeful Retreat are your generators. Chaos Strike, Blade Dance, Eye Beam are your spenders. That's already 7. You have the Hunt, you have Essence Break, you have Fell Rush, you have Meta. Am I missing anything? I think that's it. And you can throw in like Glaive Tempt or something. So that is, I lost track. That's like 12, maybe 11 or 12, right? And that's rotational. Then you throw in stuff like stuns. You have 2 stuns. You have 2 defensives. That's 4 more. You have a kick, and you have some other like darkness. You have some other sigils for utility. So oftentimes classes do have like 20 or so buttons. But rotationally, most classes don't actually have too many. Now, I think when people hear, oh, remake down to 10, I think having less than 10 buttons is really going to cause a lot of homogenization and like sameness amongst a bunch of classes. I do think that classes are too overly complex. A lot of them are, and I think that could be pruned back a bit. We have a lot of button bloat. We have a lot of defensive bloat, which I think is an issue too. But I don't think having everything be 10 would even be doable. You'd hit a point where classes would be very bare boned or would have no utility, and neither of those is really the game of WoW. Like WoW is well known for having depths to its classes. I think resetting them down to 0 isn't really feasible. But I think certainly strides can be made to simplify the game, which I think, the game has kind of gotten away with itself a little bit. And I'm hoping for War or Midnight, which is the expansion after War Within, we do see a bit of a simplification of some of the specs, even just walking it back a bit. You still want skill expression, you still want some complexity, but I don't think it needs to be as crazy as some things we have right now. Anyways, that's the first one. Number two.
Remove all raiding difficulties except for 40-man raids. And then make 40-man raids of the relative same difficulty as like Old War hard modes.
Okay, this one is the crazy one. So this one is the one that everyone's like, what are you talking about? And this one is just straight up, what the fuck are you talking about? 40-man raids should die in a hole. Sorry, that's just what it is. The thing with raiding these days is that most guilds have trouble finding 20 players. A lot of guilds do. Now I raid right now towards the higher end, but I have a bunch of friends and I've come from a guild struggling to do that. One of the first guilds I raided in, I did it myself. I ran the whole thing. We were on a smaller server and we ended up just kind of dying. We were doing Mythic and we just couldn't get enough bodies to fill Mythic. We couldn't get 20 solid players that could be there every time to fill Mythic, and ended up dying. We went Heroic, and then I eventually decided to go do Mythic again because of the channel. Still hang out with a lot of those guys. Shout out to any of them if they watch this video. I don't know if they will, but you guys are great. Rage quit forever. But that problem is not unique to what I experienced. That problem is everywhere. Lots of people have issues finding enough good, solid people to fill the seats. Now, there are guilds that eventually get big enough where they'll be fine. My guild's pretty big. We have actually 2 raiding teams, and we've been around for a long time. The leadership's very solid, so I'm not really worried about that happening there. But a lot of other guilds, it happens all the time where they just die off because they can't find people. So doubling that requirement and going to 40 and then getting rid of all the difficulties so that you only can do 40-man raiding is crazy and would just kill the game. Instead, what Blizzard should do is actually make 10-man raiding. Now, I don't want 10-man to replace 20-man fully. I think 10-man Mythic should be maybe like a step lower than 20-man. Like maybe you can get 486 gear instead of 49 gear. And maybe it doesn't drop the mount or something, or like there's some other incentive to do 20-man, because I really enjoy 20-man. I like the guild I'm in currently. I don't want to see that die, but I do think that 10-man Mythic needs to happen for the health of the game. Lots of people have a small group of friends. It's so much easier to find 4 more people, 3 more people than it is to find 17 more people or 13 more people, and even easier than finding what would be like 33 more people. Like, that's insane. That's another whole raid team. So 40-man is not it. 40-man really needs to stay in classic. There's a reason it was removed in the first place and went to 25 and then 20-man and then flex even. 40-man is just a bygone era, right? It's just not a thing that can happen. Another difficulty thing, I do think maybe that Mythic this season was a bit hard. I think they just nerfed it late, which is obviously an issue. The game shouldn't be balanced around world first race. It should be made easier for most people to do it. Farak still doesn't even have 700 kills, I'm pretty sure, at the time I'm recording this, which is a problem. But I think the difficulties make sense. LFR is easy for people who want to just experience the story and then move up. Normal is there as a step up. It's like your first real coordinated effort to get through it. Heroic is a bit harder than that. There's more mechanics. And then Mythic is for the sweaty nerds, as some people would say. But Mythic is the challenge, right? It gives the best gear, gives the best rewards, is the most prestigious, but is also the hardest and the most restrictive. Which I don't think is a bad thing, but I do think 10-man option needs to exist. But 40-man is crazy. 40-man is just like, let's go back to classic, which is not good. But yeah, that one is, woof, that's a crazy one. And then he's one more. Oh, he makes them easier.
Way more people.
Yeah, I think that's crazy. Here's the last one.
Remove all add-ons with no exceptions.
He kind of just stares at the screen for a bit, but that's kind of the last one. So the add-on thing, we're gonna swap back to my camera because he's done talking, so it'll just be my face now. So the add-on thing, I get where he's coming from, and I don't think he's entirely wrong. I think this has merit, but I think if you remove every add-on bar none, it poses a few problems. A lot of add-ons in the game are just for fun or are just for accessibility. There's a lot of add-ons that help players and people who have disabilities enjoy the game, and I don't think there should be any reason why those should go away. I think I read somewhere there's an add-on that you can actually play like via a straw if you are completely, I don't even know the word, I don't want to offend anybody, but if you're basically completely paralyzed with like extra software and an add-on, which is crazy. There's add-ons that, organize your bags for you. There's add-ons that kind of make it so you don't have to enter delete when you delete things. There's auto repair add-ons. there's a lot of quality of life or just accessibility that would go away by deleting them all. Now, I think it's very fair to want to call for a removal of something like weak auras or something like DBM or big wigs, because that has artificially inflated the difficulty of the game a bit. Now, that's not to say I don't think the game would get to where it is now without those. You can't just have a game last for 20 years where the hardest raid mechanic is move out of the puddle. That's just impossible. And most DBM things actually are just timers you don't really need to, or little reminders, which you don't need. It would speed up prog having them, but outside of dumb private auras or crazy like spaceship weak aura mechanics that people just saw with weak aura, most raiding can be done without it. Now, that's like saying that you could run a race without a bike or without shoes, or you could get from Canada to Mexico on foot. You could do that, but it's a lot harder to do that than it is to use add-ons. Add-ons here being like a car or something. So the thing there is that, yeah, that's true. Add-ons are kind of just integral to the game, and that poses a big barrier of entry for players. When I started, I didn't know about add-ons. I found out pretty quickly because I'm the kind of person who just kind of jumps in, digs my teeth into stuff, and researches everything. But if you're new, there's a lot of stuff where you have to learn what all those add-ons do and what they are. So that obviously is a big barrier to entry. For add-ons to remove, though, we're kind of a little too late, and it would really change the game, because all these things that people use, buff trackers, cooldown timings, just like timers in boss fights, they're just not really represented at all well by the game itself. So the game needs to improve in that sense. Now, Blizzard has been improving the UI. The base UI in Dragonflight is actually a lot better than it used to be. There's a lot of customization you can do. I played with it on alpha and beta before I had my normal UI, which I use because I like it and I'm used to it. But those changes actually really help out a lot in kind of moving away from add-ons. Now, will we ever hit a point where there's no add-ons ever? I doubt it, but I think Blizzard can and is making strides towards a future like that, and they need to keep doing that. I do think that the barrier to entry right now with class complexity and add-ons is a little too steep. I think complexity is a good thing and we should have some in the game, but maybe walk it back a bit. And same with the add-on thing. I think private auras are a failure and have really pushed add-ons and crazy weak auras to be more of a thing. Also, like that map weak aura on Neltharion, all the bomb weak auras, just like there's been some crazy stuff with this expansion. So I'm hoping for a future where we see less of that. Now, if you've been listening to the whole thing, there is one thing I guess you can kind of notice about all these things, that he's kind of just talking about classic WoW. And, obviously, I think having retail and classic separate is good. But, I don't really think a lot of these things would end up coming in and saving WoW. Does WoW need saving? No, not really. I think definitely we're just in a lull right now because there's, we're done all the content. New season starts probably like a month, new expansion in the summer. So we're in a bit of a lull. I think WoW's biggest issues are just its seasonality right now, when it's still a subscription-based game and a game with a large entry fee as well. So, too steep of a learning curve, kind of too steep of a cost. And then you just have players kind of burning out a bit because they can't do 10-man mythic, right? So I think 10-man mythic and just maybe a walk back on complexity and add-ons would actually really go far in helping the game. But Dragonflight's been a great expansion. They're making a ton of strides in improving the game. I think War Within should continue that. We'll see. We don't know much yet. But overall, I've been really happy about it. I do think Asmongold is right to have these takes, and he's allowed to have these takes. He's allowed to voice his feelings. People dismissing him shouldn't be doing that. That's not okay. That's not how you have a good discussion either. No side should attack the other side. That's just not good or healthy. But I do think that a lot of these takes, in my opinion, wouldn't improve retail. I think some of them have cores in them where it's a place where I think that could help. I think the add-on thing is maybe, too extreme, but definitely in the right direction. The class thing is too extreme, but in the right direction. And then 40-man rating, I think, is just the opposite and it's a little out of touch. 10-man rating, I do think needs to be where it's at. Well, I guess that's kind of it. I don't know. I just wanted to record this and react to it. I've been seeing a lot of conversation on Twitter. I've been thinking about it a lot since I saw that. Follow me on Twitter, by the way, and Twitch. The link's in the description. So yeah, let me know what you think. Interesting takes from Asmongold. I think he's, again, allowed to have these and he's allowed to enjoy what he wants. But I don't think all of these would actually improve retail. So hope you guys enjoyed. I don't know when I'm posting this, but happy whatever day it is. And I'll see you guys next time. Follow me on Twitter, Twitch, like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace. A big thank you to all of my channel members. Thank you Sky Elk, Andrew Keenell, 100,001 Zans, Guillermo Lamas, Brad Wisniak, Its Bulk, and Magic Man 133. Thank you all so much for supporting the channel. If you want to support the channel and get a few perks along the way, check the link in the description to become a channel member, or go follow me on Twitch and sub there. Again, thank you all so much. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys next time.